Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. And if you're new here, welcome. My name is Heather. I'm a quantum healing hypnosis practitioner. So excited to have you here and so excited for this chat. I have the lovely Marston Fries with me. Marston, welcome.
Thank you so much, Heather. I'm so excited to be here to chat with you and to meet your community. This is such a privilege for me. So thank you for having me on.
Oh, absolutely. So I have to start and tell how I found you. I stumbled across just a gold mine of information with you, and I'm so grateful that you popped up into my reality. But I was surfing around on TikTok, which is really the only platform that I kind of pay attention to. Probably not the best platform, but I really like some of the content that I stumble across. And one of your videos popped up about your open contact experience. And that like grabbed my attention. I was like, oh my gosh. I was listening to how you were describing connecting with your team, how they came in and sort of showed you everything. I think you said you got this like massive download of all of this information, which is so exciting. They kind of explain things for you. And so I started following you over on TikTok, and I'm going to leave all of your information in the description below for people to find you. But I started following your journey, and I absolutely loved everything that you were sharing. And then one day, I'm in the kitchen. This was probably a couple weeks ago, and one of your videos popped up, and I could just hear my team going, reach out and see if she wants to have a chat. Why don't you go see if she wants to have a chat? Go in there and see if she wants to have a chat on your channel. And I was like, that's a great idea. So I ran in here and I reached out and I just asked you if you wanted to get together and share your story. And I love how you came back because you said not only did you say yes, but you said you had found me a couple of years, I think, before.
Yes, yes. I love this so much. And I just love how the quantum field is always connecting us in ways that
Yes.
we can't even begin to anticipate or expect. And yes, I remember like seeing your name. And it was when I first was learning about quantum healing hypnosis techniques and all of this was new for me. And I remember you looked so familiar, or your name was familiar, and I was like, wait, I have seen you before. And so it's just so interesting how our paths just always weave together when they're meant to. I love that your team was like, you should reach out and see if she wants to have a chat. Meanwhile, my team is like telling your team she loves to talk. So she'll say she always wants to have a chat.
Yeah. I love it. Yeah, I do. I feel like, and it was so because I haven't really had many chats. I used to do this regularly with a couple of other people. We would have what we called Tuesday talks, and we would reach out and bring people on, and that was so much fun. I haven't really done this in a while, but there was such a strong pull. It was like, no, you need to connect and you need to share her story. And I've loved every bit of it. So thank you for being here with me. I'm so excited.
Thank you for having me. And I'm so glad you did follow the nudge. And that's something that I always tell my clients. It's funny, like when people book sessions with me and reach out to work together, a lot of times they're like, I don't even know what the pull is. I just knew I needed to talk
Yeah.
to you. Knew I needed to reach out. And I am the biggest proponent of encouraging people to trust that nudge when it talks because it might lead you somewhere. Yeah, you don't know logically or rationally why it's leading you to this person or this place or opportunity, but it's leading you there for a reason, and you're not necessarily supposed to know it at the time. So
Yeah.
I love that unfolding, and really it kind of ties in beautifully to my story of my, I'll call it my remembrance. I prefer the term remembrance over awakening because it's like, yeah, it is an awakening, but it's
Yes.
like it's so much more of a like remembering the truth of who we are and all that we're connected to. And so it's funny you mentioned TikTok being the only platform that you follow because when I first got on TikTok, it was at like 2020, right? With I'm sure like the whole rest of the world.
Yes.
And I was seeing all the dances that people were doing and making recipes and like, it was COVID. And it's kind of around that time that I started glimpsing more into more.
Yeah.
And I read the book Untamed by Glennon Doyle and I just remember feeling like that really stood out to me. There
Mm.
were several parts in that book that really like lit something up within me, and I couldn't quite identify it. And I am getting chills as I speak about this because it was really about this reclamation of sovereignty and power and leaning into where the heart is leading.
Mm,
And
yeah.
I think I resonated deep down with like that type of work that she does too, of speaking, like being a speaker and helping people remember, that they're connected to so much more than they realize or that than they've been taught. And writing a book even, which is what I ended up doing last year. And so it's just really, really interesting because I was seeing on TikTok, I went from seeing like all the dances and the recipes to then slowly but surely like being introduced to new information as the algorithm picked up on my frequency changing and my thoughts. And I mean that's a whole other, conversation that we could have
Right.
about how that happens. But I started being introduced to the notion of spirituality, which was new for me. Like I grew up in a very, what I would call, it was a very privileged upper middle class family upbringing. I had a lovely childhood, but it was not without its, of course, programming and conditioning. Um, and I lived a very, what I would call conventional life in terms of, you go to college, you get the good job, you make the money, you get married, you have kids. Like that was sort of what I was conditioned to do. And so it was in my 20s. 2020 rolled around and I had been living in Boston at the time, and I just remember feeling like there's something else. Like there's something else, and I just feel like it's time to move into a new chapter. I didn't know anything about like psychic abilities, mediumship, intuition. I didn't know, or quantum physics. Like all I knew was that I did have some sort of inexplicable pull toward all of that. And I write about this in my book, like which is called Trust Fall, and it was published in December of last year. But I start the book talking about the beginning of my life and my upbringing and like how I always felt connected to these other realms and things that I couldn't quite explain. Like as a kid, I remember being at school and thinking like, why can't I move objects with my mind? Why can't I see through the walls? Like I feel like I'm supposed to be able to do these things.
Yeah.
And I always had an interest in near-death experiences as well. And so anyway, all of that was kind of like spinning around in my subconscious around the time of COVID. And things were getting tossed and turned. And I just remember feeling like, okay, there's something else happening here, but I didn't know what that was. And I remember getting glimpses of thinking back to when I graduated college and when I knew that I wanted that I was being pulled to move to Boston, which was a city I had never been to at the time. And it was a new career path and a new life I'd be embarking on. And I remember where I was when the song Boston by Augustana started playing in my head. It was like, I think I'll go to Boston. And I didn't know what clairaudience was at the time. I didn't know
The
how
guides were
spirit.
sinking.
Yeah, totally. Yes. I didn't know any of this, right? And so anyway, I was building this really profound, sort of intense finance career on Wall Street. And I was rising through the ranks and um, ultimately ended up being promoted to a position that took me to Denver. And it was asset management oriented. So my job was to be an investment and business consultant to financial advisors and to help them optimize their practice and enhance their client portfolios. And I remember like being in this role and like having this feeling that everything that I had ever been taught to be and to want in life was happening.
Mm.
And I was like, oh, I'm living the life that I've always like been told I should live. And I felt good and it was fun. But I just remember feeling like there's something else. And it was when I moved to Denver that I like listened to another audiobook. It was called Inner Glimpse. And I listened to it on my drive to Denver. And I just remember feeling like, I feel something lighting up within me. Like I want to explore this more deeply. That was also the first time I heard about spirit guides. And I was like, what are those? And I'm like, I want to know more. And I
Well, I
just
have one.
yeah, exactly. I was like, wait, I kind of feel like I resonate with this. And I learned about human design and astrology. And so
Hmm.
all these like concepts that I'll call like gateways,
Yeah.
they're like the gateways, started opening up. And then I started learning about like, oh, you can manifest your reality and all these things. And so I was very much still ingrained in the like the quote unquote normal life, if you want to call it that, and with the friends, and I was going out and partying and like all the things. But I slowly and surely started shifting a little bit. And I was still doing all of those things, but like there was something else that I was really enjoying pouring my time and energy into, and it was reading more about all of this.
Yeah.
And finally, things started happening really quickly. This was in like late 2021. I got or sorry, 2022, I got promoted again to like the upper level of, I was a vice president at one of the largest asset managers in the world. And it took me to Wisconsin, to cover that, to be kind of be in charge of that territory. And I just remember thinking like, okay, I have the world at my fingertips. Like I have reached the pinnacle of my career at age 27. And
Wow.
yeah, and like that just doesn't happen. It's
Yeah.
very rare to like do that. And I was working at a firm with my one of my best friends, and she also was at this level of success. And so it was just so cool because like here we were, kind of like dressing the part, living the part, like making the money. And I just remember thinking like, keep showing me how good life can get, universe. I was really playing around with that. I was playing around with the notion of spirit guides. And finally, so when I moved to Wisconsin, I met the man who ended up becoming my partner.
Hmm.
And I thought he was the love of my life. And we started dating and things just like, and there are so many stories within this, but I'm just going to keep it brief. Um, Things happened very quickly. And I just remember thinking, I have everything I've ever wanted. This is everything I've ever wanted. And I still felt like there was something else. I was like, this isn't my soul's purpose though. There's something else. Like I can't put my finger on it. And then a few months later, he died very
Mm.
unexpectedly and tragically while we were together. And I had
Wow.
an out of body experience when that happened. And it catalyzed an entirely new level of growth and healing within me. And that's when I started realizing I started going to mediums, psychics to try to reconcile with him from across the veil because I was like, am I being punished by the
Yeah.
universe? And
Yeah.
like, what is the reason for this? Because I found out he also was dishonest with me
Mm.
after he died. So it was really difficult to grieve on those that many levels. But these mediums and psychics all said the same thing, and they were like, you're not meant to be in like he's actually of more help to you now than he would have been. And like he's gonna help lead you where you need to go. You're not meant to stay in your career that much longer. In fact, you are also highly intuitive, psychic, medium. Like you're meant to walk a very different path. You're meant to help people in a much bigger way. And like this is the path to get there. And I just remember thinking like this feels right on a soul level, but I cannot explain what is it? Like
Yeah.
I was still so in the dark with this. So then and that happened at the end of 2023. Now then 2024 was when things really cracked open. And that's when I started realizing and recognizing my own intuitive nature, my own abilities. The more I peeled back the layers of myself and went like really deep into my own dark forest. And it was a terrible healing process, but it was beautiful in its unfolding. And then it was toward the end of 2024 that my guides had made that initiatory preliminary contact experience that was highly telepathic, and they were showing me the truth of the world. They were showing me like really what we're learning now, what the masses are learning now with the Epstein files and like the truth of the corruption and everything. I was shown that, and it really knocked me off. So it just knocked me off. They were like, you're essentially on this train track. We need to get you on this train track.
Onto a
Like
different timeline. Yeah.
that's exactly it.
Yeah.
And so they guided me. I was guided to leave my career, cold turkey, no plan in place. So I left my finance career. And in doing so, lost a lot of people because no one, I
Mm-hmm.
couldn't feel like I couldn't tell people, oh, I'm being contacted by extraterrestrials and like I now know all these truths about the matrix system, and there's a lot more going on than we've been taught. We live in like a snow globe right now, and like would have believed me
No
or
one understands. Yeah.
and I was like, I'm gonna be put in a mental hospital. Like they're 100% gonna put me in a psych ward. And I had that really deep fear. And I was like, I just can't do that. So I left my career and I like got rid of all my stuff, packed my car with what I could fit, drove out to the Pacific Northwest. And like, that's kind of just where I felt called, stayed for a few months, hiked. Again, no, not a plan in place. I didn't know what I would be doing for money. I didn't know anything. I just knew I was being called to travel and that I would find out along the way. And so then 2025 rolls around a few months later, and I start getting these downloads like of all this the quantum physics concepts. And like I started going on walks and realizing like I feel like I'm gonna explode if I don't talk about these. So I would record, like voice memos on my phone, and I was like, I feel like I'm supposed to like start a podcast or something or like speak about
Mhm.
this. And then I started getting the downloads of TikTok, TikTok, TikTok. And I was like, oh my God, I have to share this on TikTok. And it's in that moment where I knew my whole life as I know it or knew it was about to end because I was about to come out of the spiritual closet in like the biggest way. And I knew everyone in my life would somehow like see that video or like be made aware of it. And that's exactly what I did. So the first video I posted was mid-April of 2025. So it's been 11 months since that very first video. And after that, I was like, okay, I'm committing to this. Like I'm stepping more into my purpose, whatever it is. I know that this is right. I have to trust this. So I started traveling to different countries and living internationally and nomadically all last year and posting on TikTok. And I had like thousands of people reach out after that first video. And they were asking for help on their path. And they were thanking me for having the courage to talk about these concepts that a lot of people are like, frankly, too scared to talk about. And I had a lot of fear doing it. But I was like, oh, okay, well, I'm going to start offering sessions. And like, I went to my first and only psychic medium retreat at the end of April before I started traveling because I felt called to do that. And that's where I learned that I was a lot more advanced than I ever thought I was, and that I wasn't giving myself credit for this. And I remember learning there, like, oh, okay, I'm supposed to be like doing this for people. So I started offering
Mhm.
those sessions and building a website. And so then I was just traveling and doing this, and I didn't know where I was being led or anything. And finally get to September of last year. And that's when I experienced physical open contact with my soul group, my star family. And that's where I learned the origins of my soul, where I first began my incarnational journey, um, and where I incarnated here from as an extraterrestrial soul, a starseed soul.
Mhm.
Um, and that's where I learned even more about my path here and who I'm connected to and what I'm here to do. So anyway, I'm gonna pause there
What
because
a
that's a
journey. That's an amazing. So many things that you said. And I work in the quantum healing hypnosis work that I do, working with a lot of people who are at different levels and layers of their journey, their awakening experience. And I agree with you, it is a remembrance. It's
lot.
not necessarily that we're waking up, even though we call it that, it's remembering who we are.
Uh-huh.
Your soul is so expansive and it has been so many things. It is so many things right now. But I love that you talked about the catalyst that propelled you into your remembrance experience because that happens to so many of us. I had my own breaking down of my reality that pushes you in a completely different direction. And then all the things start flowing in the spirit guides, the angels, who's talking with me in my head. Am I channeling? Wait, what is channeling? It's like you go through all of those trying to figure out what's going on, and no one around you is going through it. and you have
Yeah.
no one to talk to, no one to turn to. You're trying to tell people, hey, I'm having these crazy experiences. And I think all of this is happening. And I think we're going through an ascension. And I think the world is changing, but it's like it falls upon deaf ears because they're not ready to hear what you have to say, or what they can't hear it. It's a different frequency.
Yes.
And it's so stressful because I hear this so many times with clients that come in and they're like, I have nobody to talk to and nobody believes me and everybody thinks I'm crazy.
Yes.
And it feels like you're very alone on this journey for a bit until you find a community. I know you're creating a community, right? At this
Yes.
time?
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm so glad you brought that up because I'm planning to launch it this week. So I'm just like finalizing all the
Amazing.
details. So April will be the first month, and it's such an important thing to bring up because that's the main reason why I felt called to start this community membership is because everyone does feel so alone on
Yeah.
this path.
Yeah.
And like it's hard to remember that we're never actually alone. But it's hard to remember that and it's hard to trust that and to realize that. So it's such a good point.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. That's going to be amazing. Um, but yeah, so I love your journey, and so you sort of I also really love that um you followed your guidance even when you felt unsure, because I think that's a big part of this experience for many of us, myself included, and many of the clients I've worked with. All of this newness starts to come into your life and no one else is having the experience, and you really have to trust. That's so huge with following your intuition, following your guidance, allowing it to lead. I know my team, they sometimes bring things into my reality and I'm kind of like, you want me to do what with what? You want how did what? And it takes me a minute, and it's almost funny because they'll have to push me a little bit. I'm like, I'm not going to do that, and then they're like, yes you are, but not yes you are, but they'll bring someone into my reality that will request it, and it will lead me down a path, and then all of a sudden so many new and exciting things will open up. Your book, it's Trust Fall, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Is that about your journey of just trusting your
Yeah,
path?
totally. Yeah. So I wrote it in just it like it just poured through me last summer. So
Yeah.
it just took a few months to write and it starts from childhood. It's like my whole story, but it's about so much more too. It's like the everything that has transpired on this journey, on this path of self-discovery and remembrance and yeah, trust as the name would imply. The trust fall of like leap, you have to leap
Yeah.
first even when you can't see it. It's just, and I'm still on it, but like, oh my God, what has opened up? And this is what I talk about in the book is like all the synchronicities that come in.
Mm.
The way that you just said your guides will present you with, someone or information or whatever in a way that you're like, wait, what? But it comes in and you just have to trust it. If it resonates, if it feels like it lights you up, if it feels like something you want to move toward, scary in a good way, like that's it, then it's probably going to be expansive and it's for you. So yeah, the book is about all of this and it's about like the truths that I have learned along the way about the world and how humanity has been misled for so long. And this
Mhm.
this is the point in time of our final liberation and our it's not so much an ascension because it's not hierarchical as it is an expansion of
Yeah.
consciousness.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I love that. So I want to get into your open contact experience because that's what
Yeah.
really lights me up. I've spent so many years working with a variety of different galactic races and galactic groups, and I've spoken with so many in these different sessions that I've just had the honor to do. And I feel like what I've been getting in sessions over the last few months has been open contact is on the horizon. And we're seeing things trickle out in the government. I do it like that because I feel like we're only going to get a watered down version of the truth of our knowledge of extraterrestrials and our government's involvement with them. But you and I know a very different perspective, and many who are on this channel see them through a different lens. And I feel like it's important right now because many of my clients are coming in and they're being told in sessions, hey, you may have an experience coming up soon. And don't freak out. We don't want you to be scared because we want to come and we want to connect more and make this more we're taking back our role in the galactic community, which is how we were always meant to be. We're finding our place again and remembering that we were always part of a bigger galactic community. We've just been sort of off by ourselves over here for a while, but talk about your experience and how that unfolded and what you learned about yourself as a star being.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And it's so true. And this is, Earth itself is moving into a new quadrant of the galaxy. It's a higher
Mm-hmm.
density quadrant. And
Yeah.
so all of her inhabitants are as well. And it's amazing because this is what was supposed to happen an awfully long time ago,
Mm-hmm.
but there has been so much corruption deeply seated and deeply rooted on our planet and in our psyche. And we've been locked. Humanity of Earth has been locked under lower states of consciousness for so long, and that's why the star seeds, quote unquote, are here, to help humanity in its remembrance, so that ultimately the word star seed will become null. It will become obsolete because everyone is going to be able to have experiences and incarnations on other planetary matrices and other star systems and other galaxies,
Yeah.
and which is really beautiful because it's like, I think in the new age community especially, and I'll get into my experience here, but I think there's such a wrong emphasis on how like special being a starseed is, and it's really like humanity of Earth. This is what I learned in my experience. Humanity of Earth, humanity of Key, is the special one. Like
Very
they are,
powerful.
yes,
We
they
just
are.
don't know it.
Exactly. Exactly. They are set to become like one of the most powerful spiritually evolved species and civilizations, not just in our galaxy, in our universe and beyond.
Yeah.
And I mean, this is like this final liberation it's so important for us to remember our true power and who we are, and our sovereignty in all of this,
Yes.
and discernment. And so anyway, I just wanted to say that because I think it's amazing when star seeds like have this remembrance, because we feel this innate connection to the stars, to connecting with our star families, our soul groups. Um, and there's so much more to this. And I think when we can recognize that it's not us and them, it's like, and there's not one that's better or worse. It's just that we're all here for this one reason right now.
Yeah.
And that one reason is meant to be expressed in different ways. But I digress. This is just, I learned about this in this physical contact experience. It was actually here in Costa Rica in the fall. And it was genuinely the most powerful, empowering, transcendental experience of my entire life. Like I really, I struggle to encapsulate it in words properly because it really transcends anything that the human language can articulate.
I can
And
imagine.
I mean, it's so I saw the ships come in like with my physical eyes, right? Like everyone could see this over the mountains, and there were other people who did witness this over the mountains, down through the valley. And this happened on there were several experiences that happened on several occasions over the course of a month. So, and I went my like what brought me there was to explore the shamanic path more, which I had been getting the downloads about. I'm here to walk the shamanic path. I'm here to
Mm.
like facilitate this. And so I did a master plant dieta where I sat with plant medicine for 10 days, non-psychoactive, as well as there were some ayahuasca ceremonies as
Mhm.
well. But it was completely disconnected from, like, I was not on my phone, no screens, no outside world, no 5G, eating a very cleansing, pure diet. Like, I've
Yeah.
never felt more
More
connected.
alive, probably.
Live, yes.
Yeah.
And I mean, I went through so much in this experience. I experienced my own DNA activation, which is known also as a Kundalini activation. I knew nothing about that going into it. That was not the goal. In fact, I didn't even know that that's what happened until after the fact when I was integrating everything. But that is what allowed me to, and I can speak more about that too if you want,
Mhm.
but that's what allowed the door to really be more open to, it put me on a higher density of consciousness. So I was able to more easily and more readily have these experiences physically. Um, when one of the ships came in, it was one of the most beautiful ships I've ever seen in my, like, I've never seen something so beautiful and captivating. It was like
Yeah.
this beautiful bioluminescent, translucent turquoise green, like it looked like it just glided. And the best way I can describe it is I described it as like the manta ray in Moana. Um, her grandmother spirit. And then my mom, I was sharing this with my mom, and my mom was like, well, there was a movie that came out like a long time ago called The Abyss. And there are aliens in
Yes.
there that look just like what you're
I
describing.
love that movie.
Okay, and I never saw it. So when
I've
she
seen it
showed
several
me,
times. Yeah.
okay, it looked just like that. Like that's
Okay.
what I saw. And it made contact with me. I immediately received that. This is so cool, Heather. Like it's not, I can't even do it justice. I received a knowing to sit down, and I felt my eyes start to go
They're like,
back.
you're going to have to sit down for this.
They no, truly, they were like,
She's
sit,
going to fall over.
bitch, sit down. Like genuinely. Because my consciousness, I was losing my consciousness. Like
Yes.
I was starting to feel like something happening. It
Were
was
they
like
pulling you onto the ship? Or,
basically, but it was more so like what it felt like was oh God, it was like an electric pulse running
mm,
through me. And I was
mm-hmm,
like,
mm-hmm.
I just felt like I couldn't, like, it's like my teeth were
Yep.
fixed, and it wasn't scary. It didn't hurt. It was just so cool and unlike anything I have ever, you know what it is? It's like tasting a new flavor, seeing a new color, hearing a new frequency, and touching a new texture all at the same time. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you just can't, you've never experienced anything like this.
Now, I want to mention just about these ships because I learned from my team that they talk a lot about the ships as I've learned about them, and that they're like plasmic and, like you said, bioluminescent. It's a different type of
That's
material than we can understand. That it contains almost like its own consciousness
it does.
in it. So
Yeah.
the ship itself is consciousness. And well, we were learning that my team specifically works with Andromedans who are master ship builders, and they build these very advanced conscious technological ships. I don't even know how to say it, but they almost showed like that bioluminescent. And when you said that movie, and I remember seeing that big ship, but I think it wasn't a ship in the ocean, it was some sort of being.
Yeah.
That is that sort of reminds me of how I kind of perceived it. And within these spaces, almost like there weren't structures that were permanent. They said the ship can even morph and change and
Yeah.
create the spaces that you need for healing, for whatever, because that's when they taught me how to go on to the ships for healing in hypnosis sessions. It's so amazing. I feel like what we're going to learn about these ships, but keep going. This is amazing.
No, it is, and I'm so glad you said that because that's actually where I was going with this is
Yeah.
it is plasma.
Yeah.
And so it's consciousness. The ships themselves are conscious for the most part. Not, I don't want to speak for every ship, but
Yeah.
like the plasmic ones, yes.
Yeah.
And they have their own consciousness. So I was interfacing, it was like consciousness interface. They lock you in and it's
Yeah.
full on telepathy. Like you're now synced on that because you're a DNA match. This is what I learned. I'm a DNA match
Mm-hmm.
for my soul group, of course, which I've learned in that experience includes many, not many. Well, yeah, just there are several different
Yeah.
stars involved.
Yeah.
And um, this one in particular showed me my origins. So I learned the star I originated like had my first ever incarnation on, I saw the body that I had. I saw my soulmate there with me, like whoever he is, he was there with me. They pointed me to the star in the sky. It's Vega in the Lyran
Okay.
system.
Yep.
And
Do you
and I
remember
didn't
what you how you saw yourself? Like what type of being? Do you have
ancient,
a name for it
I don't
or
know the name,
just a
but I just
frequency?
saw ancient feline humanoid,
Yeah,
like
nice.
a very, very, very ancient race, and it stems from cedar, one of the cedar races,
Hmm.
that brought that genome to the galaxy. So it all started at the Lyran system.
Yeah,
Humanity, the human genome was first brought to the man Kepler 62 star within that system. And
yeah,
so anyway, there's like a lot of history there. And I was kind of shown all of this and my involvement in like being a part of some of these geneticists, like genetics teams and seeding. And it was really, really fascinating because I learned I played a lot of like sort of instrumental roles in what has happened in this galaxy. And so they were bringing me back to like the origins of it.
mm,
And they pointed to the star in the sky and they said, that's Vega. They didn't say that. I just knew that. It's like I was just receiving this as if it was just like being flushed through me. And then I downloaded an app on my phone that like tells you what stars,
yeah.
you know, are, and I pointed it to it like a couple weeks later. Sure enough, Vega. So it was really cool to get that confirmation. And they showed me this, and then there was another ship that came in that like switched, and I consciousness interfaced with that one, and I was made aware it was a little more faint, Andromeda,
Mm,
a little more faint, but like so like but then there was something that tied into the Arcturians, and but
yeah,
it's
nice.
specifically Ohora Arcturians
Hmm.
and their involvement in Sirius B, and then their involvement in what would become the Anunnaki, which is like the Anakim people. And so I also had an experience directly with Ohora Arcturians, who was made aware are members of my soul group. They brought me on board. They handed me like a holographic tablet of some sort. I was speaking their language with them very quickly. It was like we just kind of got down to business. Um,
So this is all still happening in the same. This is you're on the ground, and this is happening all simultaneously, or was this spread over
this
multiple
was spread.
experiences?
So the Arcturians they came in first. That was like the first experience I had, and that was a different night. I
Yeah.
didn't actually like physically see a ship that night.
Okay.
That was all happening on a consciousness level.
Hmm.
Then the physical encounters started happening. And that's when that ship came in that I interfaced with, and I saw like the Vega lifetime. I saw and they made me aware, I was made aware of like the Andromeda connection. And then the last night it was revealed to me, a prominent member of my soul group made contact with me, introduced himself. I knew who, like his name is Ia. He was known on Earth as Enki, and he's the heir to the Anak Empire. His he is the son of King Anu and Queen Namu, and the Anak Empire is headquartered in Sirius B. It came from a parallel universe, parallel dimension. He's currently back in our star system to see through the final liberation of humanity, because this all stemmed from its beginning, its origin story about 375,000 years ago. This is like a much longer story, but it's about the corruption and how everything happened. And that's where I learned I incarnated here directly from his royal house of the Anak Empire. And I saw like the body that I left in a stasis pod to come here
Hmm.
that I'll return to after this lifetime. I don't know her name. I was shown like other lifetimes I've had here that I won't talk about in this conversation, but there's it was also made aware that there's a lot that I'll be made aware of later.
Yeah.
It's kind of this interesting feeling of like you're getting what you need right now to move forward, but there's a lot more where this came from. And he helped me. I was made aware that like they were making adjustments on some of my implants, um, helping my body calibrate to the higher frequency, the higher density of consciousness that I had just activated myself into. And so there needed to be some physical body calibrations to that.
Yeah.
And I was shown my future, like glimpses of my future in this life. I was shown my glimpses of my future beyond this life. Um, and it was incredible. Like, but it was really difficult to be honest, because I thought I was moving back on the ship. I thought like I was like, oh, this is where I come from. Like
You
I'm
were
going back.
ready to go.
I was ready to go. I was like,
They
okay,
will
peace
not pick
out.
you up. I have tried. They will not pick you up. You are
They
here.
won't. I know. And so I was like, oh, well, I'm going on the ships now. And it was kind of like, yeah, like there will be more of this, but like, because you're here to relay this information to humanity, but you're not, your job is to be on Earth. And
Yeah,
like, I thought I would be relaying these messages through
darn.
quantum technology that I was shown on the ships. And it's like, no, you're using, TikTok and YouTube and Instagram. And like, that was like a really difficult.
That's your quantum technology right
Yeah,
now.
exactly. And I was like, this is so difficult, like to have an experience like this and to be
You'll be
made aware of
stuck
who,
here.
yeah, it's like I remembered like who I am in many ways.
Yeah.
And in many ways it also created so much more conflict. And
I can
it was the single
imagine.
best experience I could ever ask for. And at the same time, it like left me with so many questions too.
Well, I would love to dive more in. So, along my journey, of course, I have heard so many versions and variations of every story to the point, and I realize, you once you start understanding how timelines work and parallel versions of reality and how everything's happening in the now moment, and you kind of realize the multidimensional nature of everything. There are so many versions and variations and stories, and it's almost sometimes like which timeline are you tapped into is possibly the one you're aligning with or the one you're resonating more deeply with, which is why sometimes we have so many versions of so many things. But I've heard different versions and variations of the Anunnaki story, and I'm just curious, what were you shown, and what did your contacts, your star family, share with you? What did they want you to know about the unfolding of that story and sort of where it's leading us now?
Yeah. So, and I love that. I'm glad you brought that up because that's another thing I had to learn a lot about and kind of shift my own beliefs with, because I was shown that the concept of multiple truths, multiple timelines is also it's sort of like an infiltration into the
Yeah,
new age community. And it's there are, yes, like there are all these probabilities that exist in the quantum field
yeah.
that like everything is possible, right? All these different
Mhm.
timelines. But there is really only like one true storyline, one true timeline that we've collectively agreed to,
Yeah.
because that's the probability that was actualized in the quantum field. That doesn't mean there weren't other potentials, but those potentials weren't actualized. So the focal awareness was only placed on that one timeline. And so they were kind of showing me that like this is sort of the problem that has happened on our planet is
Mhm.
everyone is like, well, this is true too, and this can be true too. And it's
Yeah.
like your perception, creates your reality. And that is your truth is your perception. It dictates what you believe and how you experience life. But ultimately, like if you think about it this way, right? Your life as Heather, where you live right now, what has happened in your life, you leave this body and like someone on earth is saying like, well, I'm channeling Heather and like I'm getting that she like lived in Spain her whole life and that like
Mm.
everything wasn't true, like
Yeah.
you as the soul who actually inhabited that body would say that's not true.
Yeah.
That's not what happened, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of how they've shown this to me.
I like
And
that.
a
Yeah.
big part of what I'm here to do, this is what I was made aware of, is to speak truth, is to bring the truth here. And so that's what I'm practicing doing. But
I love that. Yeah.
yeah, it's like, and it's
Amazing.
like, and this is all part of our journey, right? Like I've had to adjust my beliefs so many times,
Mhm.
like in all of this, and to the point where it's like I don't really even have beliefs anymore. I mean, I don't want to say that because I'm human, but um, I just, it's like everything's always shifting and changing. So all I know is when I receive new information, my awareness adjusts to reflect that. does it feel true? It's like it peels back more layers, and it's like, okay, this is new information I didn't have before. Now it contradicts what I previously believed. Am I willing to
Mm-hmm.
let that go? Or
Yeah.
am
Oh, I
I
love
just too
that.
stuck in that?
You
So the
do have
story.
to release things that you, because I've had to do that too. Things that when I first started my awakening, I thought to be true because I heard people talking about it so passionately. And I thought, oh, this resonates. But then as you evolve, you go, well, wait a minute, that may not have made as much sense. But that's okay. It's like you said, it's okay to let go of something that you believe to be true. I feel like you should be just open minded, and none of us know the exact truth. I've heard and listened to so much, and if you ask me what I thought was going to happen, I could not tell you because it's
Oh yeah.
changing, shifting, and I just don't know. So just
Yeah.
being open minded and flexible, and
Yes.
have to move through it. Yeah,
You have to. And it's hard to like to learn that. And I'm constantly reminding myself of that because um when you start speaking about this and you start like speaking the truth of a lot of this, people will ask me, they expect me to have the answers to like everything.
yeah,
And I just don't. I don't know,
yeah.
and I'm not afraid to say what I don't know, but this is what I've been shown firsthand. And this was a physical experience that I had. These beings are physical. They're
Mhm.
physically incarnated people. That this isn't like an energy that's like being tapped into. And
Yeah.
so it's like I learned I was a part of this. And so like this is where I can speak to this because it's my soul's history too.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so what I learned with the Anunnaki, there are two, it's really the Anakim people. Anakim is a culture.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a culture comprised of different races. The Anak Empire in particular is it's basically, you can think of it as being split into two factions,
Mm.
two bloodlines. So there's Ia's bloodline, and then and he's a human Anakim man, slightly elongated skull, bald. I kind of look similar to him, that body that I have as a human Anakim woman. And then there's his half brother Enlil, otherwise whose Anakim name is Yu, Juh, I think is how they spell it.
Mm-hmm.
And he is half reptilian,
Mm.
half Sakaar, specifically Alpha Draconis
Mm.
Sakaar Empire. His mother was the Sakaar Queen, Tia.
Wow.
And so those are the two bloodlines. And it's a long story. I mean, I don't know how much to get into here, but
Whatever you feel
basically,
called.
basically, oh my gosh, there was an expedition that came to planet Earth
Yeah.
about 375-ish thousand years ago. I don't know the exact number. And Enlil was essentially sent here. The empire had its reasons, but there was about to be a lot of destruction that he was about to cause. He had like this sort of wanting to like take over, like he was a warlord.
Yeah.
And that's like his conditioning. That's the Sakaar Empire nature. And he was sent to Earth to like kind of as like a playground to get out, to get into a different quadrant, a different area of the galaxy than where he was going to do all of this. So it was the best move at the time by the Empire. I won't get into like all the details of that. I don't know all of the details, but um, when they came here to Earth, that's basically when they were examining the indigenous species that were here. And that's when they noticed that humanity of Earth had all of these different genetics from other extraterrestrial races that had come here already.
Yeah.
And that's when it was seen that humanity had this incredible potential.
Mm.
And Enlil and his team of geneticists, they wanted this, they wanted to dumb down humanity, basically, to keep humanity as like a slave race that they could control and really like they wanted to own Earth.
Yeah.
That's what they cared about. Um, Ia saw this and said, we can't do this. Like that's very highly unethical. This species is meant to mature and grow and evolve on their own, and they have all this potential. And Enlil basically said, well, if you don't do it, I will. knowing that Ea was not a warlord. Ea is a master geneticist and alchemist. So he knew that Ea could do it. So Ea said, okay, I'll do it. But didn't do it. Instead, infused some of his genetics, his blood, into the first, what would become the first two human hybrids, which we know as Adam and Eve, Adapa and Hawa,
Mm.
and they were hybridized essentially. There was never anything done to the body. It was all quantum technology.
Yeah.
And that's how they do this. It's there's never like an intrusion. And Adapa and Hawa knew what was happening the whole time. They were kind of like adopted by Ea and his team. And this was all happening on the Nibiru ship, which is currently back in our star system right now that Ea brought back. That's where my body is. Go ahead.
Okay, you said so. I just had a video pop up on TikTok the other day talking about Nibiru coming back into our star system, and there was
Yeah.
a video just yesterday that grabbed my attention.
Oh, I
So
love that. How
yeah.
timely.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's not, it's Ea's ship.
So not a planet, not
It's the size of our moon. So
okay.
it looks like, I mean, it's as big as planet, but
Okay.
it's named after their home star in where the empire was created. So he brought this ship here. So it's like the Nibiru 2, basically.
Okay.
But it's not, when people talk about that, there tends to be some confusion.
Yeah.
It's the ship.
Okay.
But it's the size of a planet. And there's all like the Anak Empire, there's all these people. They're back in Sirius B, that's where the headquarters is, but there are also a lot of people from the Empire who are on board the ship right now too.
Interesting.
So it's like you can live there, the living quarters are there. And yeah, it's like its own home.
Yeah.
Um, and that was where the bio lab that was known as the Garden of Eden. Eden was the bio lab that was on board the ship. So anyway, he infused his blood into these two specimens, really these two people, and knew that they would create a bloodline from this, a highly activated bloodline that would go on to one day liberate humanity from what he knew Enlil was going to do.
Mm.
And that is the bloodline that all the, like, if you want to call them like the patriarchs, the descendants of Abraham, Yeshua, like all of those people who came here, Mary Magdalene, all of them, they all incarnated from the Anak Empire into that bloodline, into Ea's bloodline. And that's to this day the bloodline that starseeds are incarnated into in
Mm.
one way or another. And so that's really what happened here. Um, and there's so much more to this, but the control system that has been implemented on Earth, the enslavement matrix, whatever you want to call it, was instituted and implemented it all started with Enlil and his son, and Ea's son was involved as well. He kind of betrayed Ea and chose his uncle Enlil to follow, and that was what created like all the what we know as like the evil, or like the 13 bloodlines. Like you hear about,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
right? It's all connected to that. So it stems from these two bloodlines initially. And then there was another empire that got involved as well called the Nebu Empire, which is the Orion Greys.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like a whole, I mean, it's all part of this,
Yeah.
but anyway, I'll pause there because there's a lot.
There's so many, isn't there? I know, and that's kind of when you look back and you say, well, what was the one thing that really sent us down the wrong path? Because originally, I think this earth was meant to be so much more a beautiful, almost like a library where, it holds all of the, like you said, the seeding from all of the different galactic beings, but almost like they brought all of different pieces of these
Yes.
different places here to be like a library of all the places. And then somewhere along the line, things went in the wrong direction. And we ended up here trying to clean all of this up and get us back to where we
Yeah.
were originally
And
meant to be.
that's exactly it. And that's why Ea has come back to this star system. That's why, like, there are some of us incarnated directly from the Empire to give the truth about this, but also to help direct humanity into the future that was always destined for us
Yeah.
to have, but that got robbed from us.
Mm.
Um, and it's yeah, also brought back with him the what is known as the Holy Grail, which is it's humanity's original untampered with blood DNA. So it's the original the original DNA script, the template, before it was tampered with by the Anunnaki, before Ea's blood was in it, and or Enlil's. Like it's just pure human DNA template, and
Yeah.
that's what's being restored to us. We're restoring our own power and potential now.
That's so amazing. I started a journey with my team, I want to say last February, where they started talking to me extensively about the coding and the structure
Ah,
behind the physicalness of our reality, and even the coding within our body, the DNA templates, the
yes.
divine templates. They called them source templates, your
Yep.
divine blueprints, your original blueprints, what you were
Mhm.
created with before distortion.
Yes.
They have been teaching me through a variety of ways how to um, almost like just clear the distortion out of those templates and bring them back. And even new templates that are being created for, we'll call it the new human, not that we're becoming a new human, but we're evolving into a different. It's like the original, like you said, humans were meant to be so much more, and I've heard that too. We're very powerful, not in a bad way, but when used in the proper way, our gifts and our abilities and what we're able to do. And that
Yes.
that was sort of dumbed down a long time ago, but
Yeah.
these templates are bringing back the original creation of who we were always designed to be,
That's
but
exactly
even expanding them into the next version. It's like
it is.
human 2.0. So
I mean, that's exactly it, and that's what I was shown in my contact experience in the fall too. They were calling it the Sophia Christos template, the
yes,
original human
yeah,
template, and it's it's so much more. It's the cleared of all distortions and illusions and programs and patterns like indoctrination. It's just what it was always meant to be, and
mm-hmm.
where we're going with it, like because we're all healing generations worth of
It's a
trauma and
lot.
patterns programs. That's we're clearing it. We are clearing the plasma
We're
right
the
now.
cleanup crew.
We are, and it's like the divine feminine, the return of the divine feminine is plasma intelligence. It's
Yes.
conscious, masculine and feminine consciousness and plasma. That's what we're doing right now. We're reaching inner union
Mm-hmm.
within ourselves as a species.
Yeah, that's been huge for me. Field work, which is again, my team has been expanding on understanding your field of consciousness, the different layers at which you exist, not just the physical, but the mental, the emotional, the etheric layers, your multidimensionality, but how
Mhm.
connected we are across lifetimes and timelines and parallel versions and your ancestral lines. And in the
Yep.
work that I do, we go in and we find where those distortions are located. Where did this begin? Did it begin in another lifetime? Did it begin in another timeline? Is it part of your ancestral line and we're cleaning it up? Because in order to expand your consciousness and shift to the higher levels, you have to do all of that deep inner work and clearing. And I feel like well, for me, I've been seeing new ways of clearing across all of those layers in a much easier way.
Yeah.
And we're cleaning up the templates and we're cleaning up the DNA, or not cleaning up the DNA, but it's reactivating, it's revitalizing, it's coming back online, and it helps you to remember more of who you truly are. It's exciting.
It's
It's
so
hard work, but it's exciting, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think every day I'm like, there are moments I have where, I mean, and I've had this experience, right? Like I have this direct knowing and direct exposure and experience, and I still have moments every day where I'm like, why am I even here? Like, what, like
Beam
what
me
are we
up.
doing?
I know.
what are we
so
doing?
funny.
But you're spot on. And that's it. The reason ultimately that we're all here right now is because we all chose to have the human experience.
Mhm.
We all chose to be a part of this through
Like
the
it or
lens.
not.
Exactly. And there are all people who are like, I did not choose this. Like, well, you did.
Yeah,
Like you
I
wouldn't
know.
be
I
here.
always ask, can you just show me the contract? And they're like, no, you signed it. Don't worry.
Signed, sealed, and delivered.
Uh-huh. Yep.
Because I mean, truthfully, we all have our own way of expressing what we're here to express, and whatever it is. Like there are people here with multiple purposes, and like we all have our own thing going on. But ultimately, we wouldn't be in these bodies if we didn't choose to experience what it means to be human on this
Yeah.
incarnational journey. And that this
Yeah.
is a part of it, is the questioning and the fear. And like, it's not about like not having fear. This is something I've been thinking a lot about, because people are like, I can't do what you do. Like you do it so fearlessly. You just like left behind everything. It's like, no, I have so much fear. I've had to face every fear I have, and I still
Yeah.
do on a daily basis.
Yes.
But it's
Yeah.
doing it anyway because you trust in something. It's the faith aspect of it that anchors you through it.
There's a
And
bigger plan, and everyone has one. And that's what I try to share, because it is hard. And I've had to follow my guides sometimes down roads that, you know, I didn't know where it was taking me, or other people disagreed with me walking down that road and fussed about it. And I had to decide, do I listen to them, or do I listen to my fear, or do I follow my heart and my inner guidance and see where it's taking me? And as
totally.
long as you follow your inner guidance and what you are feeling so deeply, that is your path and your plan, and it's going to lead you in the right direction no matter
Oh,
what's going on around you. You have to push
always
that
does.
out and just, it's like my guides say, they say, put on your blinders and stay in your own lane. I hear that all the time. Put on your blinders. Don't look
It,
around what's going on. Stay here. Focus.
it's true. It's like,
Yeah.
and I have trouble staying grounded, like because
Yeah.
I see the higher vision, the
Yeah.
bigger vision and the future. And I'm constantly living in that space. And so for me, it's like the inner guidance I always receive is like, be where your feet are.
Yeah.
Like just be here. Because as long as you're being present, you can't miss it. You can't miss what's coming in. You can't miss the idea or the moment, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
um and then if you just, like you said, like it's follow your own inner guidance, and it cannot lead you astray. It might not lead you where you want to be or where you want to go necessarily, but it's always leading you
It might
some
take a minute to weave and
it might
bob
take
and
a
get.
minute. You might be a
Yeah.
little confused along the way, but you just have to trust it, because like we're so used to operating linearly, and that's how we perceive time, of course, but it's spatial. Like you're meant to go here, and then you come over here, and then you go here, and like the universe has a way of getting you from point A to point Z, but it's not going to be the way you think it should be.
Never, never the way that you think it should be. You mentioned something that I wanted to touch on, and you were talking about quantum technology. And my team loves to talk to me in the form of technology.
Mhm.
That was a big part of my path before I stepped. I kind of, like you, was in a completely different world doing web design and graphic design and marketing. And then it hopped me over here into a healing world. But I love that I love having that background in technology, because it makes me to understand things from a higher quantum level. But you were talking about being on the ship and thinking you were going to be speaking through like quantum technology, or
Yeah.
tell me a little bit about that, because I'm always so fascinated with technologies. And what have you understood or learned?
Well, and I don't think it's coincidence like that's your background. I think we all have these really interesting backgrounds before we start doing this work, and
Yes.
it's never a coincidence. So I think that's
Yeah.
really cool. I do not have any sort of technology background. It's like that's like the big
But you
thing.
have finance, which is amazing too, because that is also needed on this planet, more of
It
a
is.
abundance understanding.
Yes, but like me, as I'm building out my community membership, I'm like, I would love an ounce of like tech savvy, but it's, we all have our strengths and
Well, I'm
challenges.
happy to help because I have all sorts of tech savvy with me.
Thank you.
Just reach out and ask.
I might take you up on that. Thank
Yes,
you.
for sure.
Um, but it's so interesting because, and I don't know all the ins and outs of like how this technology operates, but I do know what I experienced and what I saw, what I was
Yeah.
shown. And I do know they have these control panels that like you can pilot the ship through like the palm of your hand. You like place it on a palm reader, a palm scan, and it scans your DNA, like your frequency. And if your frequency matched to the frequency of the ship, like you can lock into that frequency. It like syncs you. And you literally you pilot the ship through intention.
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
it's your consciousness
You're
feeding
all
it. It's
connected. It's
like
just connected.
the way that I view it, what just popped into my head is the scene in Avatar, the movie
Yeah.
Avatar, where like they're riding those dragons and they like connect
Oh, hook
their,
in.
yeah, they hook in.
Yeah.
And it's like one organism. That's how this works. So
Yeah.
that's what I was shown. And then I also was shown different holographic screens where like we were kind of like moving around data. Like you can just like with intention, but I was using my hands to do this. They weren't actually touching anything, but like my intention was to move this data from this screen over to this screen. And you could see like I just learned as I was learning a lot about like my geneticist background and other lifetimes. And like this was something that I've done a lot with. And interestingly enough, in high school, I went through a phase where I really wanted to be a hematologist and study blood disease,
Oh, interesting.
which is so interesting. And
Yeah.
I seemingly at the time had no like connection to that. But it's just so funny, like having this now,
But
because
you
I'm like,
do.
I do,
You just didn't realize it.
do. And I always wanted to be an astronaut growing up. And so it's just like,
Oh,
it's just funny, like how this, so anyway, that's all I was shown. But I also know that like there are all these, they use holographic defense shields, I should say,
mhm.
which is like a holographic field that can be manipulated and contained. It's plasma. It's like manipulating plasma. It's
Yeah.
manipulating the holographic field around us. So
Isn't that exciting? My team took me on a journey. I was out walking. I typically get a lot of, I can connect real easy and channel. And when I'm out walking in nature, and um, they took me on a journey to the Pleiades they've been showing me the future of technology and how it can evolve. I can't say that it will evolve or when, but many people understand like med beds and these higher technologies,
talk
but
about
they've
that.
expanded me into, they showed me a beautiful like sanctuary space in the Pleiades where when beings enter it, depending on what is needed to help regulate their system, they might the technology built into the structure of the temple or the space, which is plasmic, which is crystalline. It changes and morphs based on what they need. And that we will eventually have technology like this where you can move into a space. The technology is built into the space, it scans you, it looks for distortions within your field, and it helps bring in the right frequencies,
Yep.
colors, geometries, whatever it is, the vibrations that you need. And it helps to bring you back into harmony.
Yes.
That gets me really excited about the technologies to come.
Me too. We actually already have like technology that's starting to do that. There are people that have
Yeah.
started like working on this and patenting this, which is so cool. Like there's like the elements of light, sound, vibrational healing. There's like they can identify where there's dissonance or like what's the word, interference in your field, and
Yeah.
they can
Yeah.
figure out the frequency. So that is happening right now. It's just like not
Amazing.
mass produced, but the med beds too are going to be fantastic, because we're going to start like humans are meant to live several hundred years. Like that's just what it is.
Can you imagine if we had to do that now?
No, no, and there's like
Until things change and they're way better. But I'm like, oh God, 700 years of this.
Oh, I know, but
That would be
that's
amazing.
exactly it. Is like we
Yeah.
couldn't because
Yes.
like the system is built to not support that. Like
Right.
it's built to keep us working until a certain age, and then
And
we
aging and
aging, and
falling
age
apart.
itself is a myth too.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that's actually not true. And then they use it to sell us products and pharmaceuticals to like not age, but that it doesn't have to be the case. Like many of these, as you know, many of these species, they don't age. Like
Yeah.
they always look like they're, in their 30s. Like it's just never that's it for like several hundred years or like hundreds of thousands of years, depending on the species and where they are. But anyway, yes, it makes me really excited too. And
Yeah.
I think this is all going to be happening a lot sooner than people realize. I
Yeah.
don't
I
know timelines, but
I
yeah.
think so too. So, what is the most important thing that you see unfolding right now? I know there's like a lot of chaos and there's a lot of things that are happening, and it can seem really scary if you're not aware of a grander plan playing out. I feel like what I get from my team is everything is going according to plan. And the most important thing is to try to stay balanced, stay in the heart, do
Mhm.
your inner work, and just know that everything is moving. But what do you see unfolding right now from your perspective and
Well,
your
I fully agree with
steadiness?
Yeah, I fully agree with everything you just said. Everything is actually going according to plan. It's going to continue to get more chaotic
Yes,
before it simmers down. So
yes,
I
it
do think
is.
it's important to like just know that. Um, Boundaries are really important. Boundaries with what you're consuming across the board. Like what information you're letting into your field, your awareness, your body, checking in with that information. Like, does this resonate? Does this feel right? Does this feel true? Am I giving up? Where am I giving away my power? Like, I think really getting really honest with yourself right now. Where am I where am I outsourcing my own power? And how can I check in with myself? How can I trust myself? How can I use discernment? Because there are a lot of competing narratives out there now more than ever.
Yeah,
This is like
yeah,
that last. And so it's like you said, staying heart centered, staying grounded in our bodies, doing the somatic work, spending time in nature, finding the joy in everyday life. Like
yeah.
there's always joy, there's always magic to be found. And it's so easy to get bogged down by everything. But like the more that we can divert our attention away, and I don't mean like ignore what's going on, I mean, understand what's going on and still choose to consciously project your focus on a higher timeline, on a better future. And we do that through like what do we choose to see more of? What thoughts are we choosing to have? So it's really about just getting so conscious and being able to just be present in your body for all of the signals that the body is sending. That's what I would say right now.
Absolutely. That is perfect. I love that. And how can people connect with you? So I know you have a book, but tell us a little bit about some of the services that you offer and ways in which you can help those on their journey.
Yeah, I love that. It's I'm currently in the process of um sort of revamping a few things, but I do one-on-one sessions. I call them private advisory sessions. So they're highly customizable to whatever would be most helpful for you on your path at this time. There are people who come to me wanting to learn how to strengthen their own intuitive mediumship abilities, whatever it is, wanting to connect more with their guides, their higher consciousness. There are people who are looking to break through to the next level of their business, to identify limiting beliefs and patterns that are preventing them from unlocking new levels of visibility, wealth. There's a lot of like abundance, scarcity work that I do,
Yeah.
um, especially coming from the world of finance. That's really important to me to like talk about money in a way that it's a form of energy. And anyway, there's a lot there. Um, and then I do ongoing containers for people. So like packages, if you want to work with me on like a monthly basis, it's like sort of more of a portal, a vortex. It's just more concentrated work over the span of several weeks. And those individual services look a little bit different too. I do phone calls. I can just channel through information for you. It's like a psychic mediumship phone call, but it's more so like it's all about empowerment for you, and just giving you the clarity and the direction, and reflecting back to you what you need to see or hear at that time. And then the membership that I'm creating, the community membership, which I'm super excited about because it's a way for people to connect with each other. There will be live monthly Q&A calls, and like with the community, I'll offer live readings for people during that as well. And then live monthly group meditations focused on different things that I feel called to focus on, like tapping into the pineal gland, for example. There are a lot of different ways that we'll do this. And then there's audio courses on all these different topics that are like deep dive, sort of private podcast style courses. So that is what the community is looking like. And I really feel like that'll be a great way for people to work with me in not so much like a one-on-one setting, but to still, access all of this and be a part of a community. So yeah, lots of different ways.
I love that so much. And I'm going to leave all of your information in the description below. So if anyone wants to get in touch with you, reach out, or just learn more about you, they'll be able to do that.
Thank you so much.
Marcia, this has been so lovely. Anything that we didn't chat about today that you want to share? Anything that you can think of?
I
Anything
don't
going on in your world or just anything else?
No, I mean, I loved, I feel like we got to cover so much. And I mean,
Yeah.
I feel like I could talk to you all day. So
Oh,
there's
goodness, we'll have
so
to do
much.
this again.
No, I would love to do that again. And yeah, it's, life is just constantly unfolding. I don't know what's next. I'm always on this trust fall journey, and it's a continual, like, I'm just so grateful to be able to be on this journey with the people I work with people like you. I'm open to collaborating more in so many different ways.
Yeah.
I strongly believe this new paradigm will be rooted in authenticity and collaboration,
Yeah.
and the theme of a rising tide lifting all ships. So if there's ever any way that I can help you or anyone listening to this, like, we're all in this together. So
Yeah.
thank
Oh, absolutely. I feel like it is a crazy time to be alive, but it is one of the most beautiful times to be alive because we're getting to witness things that well, I know I never would have dreamed any of
you.
this would have been possible. I was living a normal, like you said, doing the normal human life, thinking
Yeah.
that that was going to be, and then I just expanded into this world and it just keeps getting more magical
Yeah.
as we go. Crazy, but magical.
It will, and it'll continue to get even more so. Like, the
Yeah.
thing that I keep thinking when I have those feelings of depression or just like low vibe energy,
Yeah.
and I'm like, oh man, like, did I just experience the best thing of my life, before I turned 32, and like now life is just not going to be as exciting? And it's like, you really think that like that would be the case? It's going to get so much, like, you just wait. So
Yeah.
that's kind of what I keep coming back to, is like, it's just going to keep getting magical. Things are going to keep unfolding. And I think the important thing is for us to be able to just be present for these conversations
Yeah.
at this point in time, because we're going to look back weeks from now, months from now, years from now, and be like, oh my God, I can't believe all that's happened.
Yeah. My teams have said repeatedly, you haven't seen anything yet.
Ugh.
You think you know, but you really don't. You really don't understand. You haven't seen anything yet. What's to come is so magnificent and so magical. I think it's going to knock our socks off for sure.
It it absolutely will. I'm so
Yeah.
excited, and I'm so grateful to get to have
Yeah.
this moment with you. So thank you for sharing this with me.
Marston, thank you. This has been absolutely wonderful. And thank you to everyone who tuned in today. Please leave us a comment and let us know what you're going through. Say hello to Marston and be sure and check her out. And I'm sure we'll do this again. So
I
thanks,
would love to.
everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Love you all.